Thank you for attending the Student Organization Summit, and we hope you enjoy the following session. If you're viewing this workshop after the live premiere, make sure to visit our YouTube channel or official website to see an archive of all past discussions and workshops. And now, on to your presentation.
All right, I think we can get started, and if more people join, we will welcome them with open arms, but I know we have some content we want to get through, so I want to make sure we are cognizant of time. So hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Welcome to our session. We're really excited to chat with Columbia College Chicago today. So my name is Bridget, and I am one of the Campus Success Associates here at Campus Groups, and I've had the pleasure of working with Columbia College Chicago for the last 11 or 12 months or so. And today we're just going to go through kind of their story, and they're going to share how things have been since they started and some of their challenges and a few tips for you all for success. Just a few housekeeping items before they get started. I just wanted to let you know that your lines are muted right now, but if you have any questions, we'd love for you to throw them in the chat and we'll answer those as we go. We will save some time for more questions at the end as well. And at that time, we'll allow you to unmute yourself if you want to ask your questions over the line. Just for a little warm up and practice, if you wanted to, we'd love to know what school you're coming from. So if you want to introduce yourself in the chat now, that would be awesome. But I don't want to take up any more time talking myself. So I'm really excited to introduce Kari and Orterio, who are going to talk to you today about their experiences with campus groups at Columbia College Chicago. So take it away.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kari Sommers. I'm the Associate Dean of Student Life here at Columbia College Chicago. In my work at Columbia, I'm responsible for a number of units, the Department of Exhibitions and Student Performance Spaces, which includes our Wabash Arts Corridor, a large public art mural installation across the South Loop in Chicago, Shop Columbia, our student store where we sell student work in a real marketplace, student diversity and inclusion, international students and scholar services, our student communications unit, and of course, our biggest unit and most important, our student programs and activities, which includes all of our all college events. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Orterio.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kari. Hello, everyone. My name is Orterio Villa. My pronouns are he, him, his. I am the Director of Student Organizations and Leadership, and that falls under this student programs and activities area for the college. And in my role, I oversee and work with our student organizations, our student athletics, student government, leadership programming, as well as our lovely makerspace, which if you are looking at this image here, that's our student center. My office and where the makerspace is literally right behind that Columbia light up sign on the second floor. So that's where I'm zooming from today, and just super excited to talk to you about all that we've done with campus groups. And obviously a big part of my role as well is sort of the administration of campus groups on our campus. And with that, I'm going to pass it back to Kari to talk a little bit about more about Columbia, just so you're kind of more familiar with our institution.
Thank you, Orterio. So Columbia College Chicago actually was founded in 1890. A lot of people think it's a fairly new university or college, but it was founded in 1890 by an educator from Emerson University by the name of Mary Blood. And Mary Blood and her sort of protege, Mrs. Ida Maury Riley, moved to Chicago in 1890. And being a smart marketer, she named the college Columbia College Chicago or Columbia College of Women's College of Oratory and Expression after the Columbian Exposition, which was to happen in 1893. So we are located in Chicago's downtown South Loop neighborhood, which is a very exciting place. We're a private arts and media college, but we're grounded in a liberal arts education and foundation. We have roughly 70,000 or 7,000 students with more than 60 graduate and undergraduate programs. approximately 60 student organizations, and we're known for our all-college events, which are very, very exciting. Our orientation program, our convocation, which is a little non-traditional. It's outside. It's a big fair. It's really beautiful. Columbia Weekend, which is our family weekend, which we'll talk about a little bit later. Manifest, our showcase of graduating undergraduate and graduate student work that takes place all over the entire South Loop and full campus with 75 to 80 different activities going on, including exhibitions, performances, showcases, screenings, you name it. It's a place to come find out where the hot new talent is. And then our extraordinary commencement ceremony.
Awesome. So with that, I'm going to talk us through our agenda today. So we kind of want to tell you a little bit about our story, walk you through our path to bringing campus groups to our campus. We want to give you some ideas for creating BuyIn and sort of what has worked for us. A lot of what we're going to cover today is to just tell you our story, what path we took. That may not be the exact path for you all, but we want to give you kind of a roadmap of how we've gotten to this place. And we want to talk about moving towards this virtual student center. That's something that we've really tried to focus on as we've built out our campus groups system. Talk to you about the challenges and successes. Those are definitely gonna, hopefully you have both along the way. Less challenges, maybe more successes. It would be ideal, but we want to talk you through kind of what has worked for us, and then talk to you just more about our kind of approach and general philosophy when it comes to, again, our build out and how we utilize campus groups on our campus. And so I'm going to start with just a little bit of our story. So, and throughout this, I'll also share, Kari and I, we're going to maybe be kind of giving you different angles, kind of when it comes to our story and different approaches, because we are at times seeing things from a different lens. Kari, as our associate dean, is seeing things from maybe a higher level and thinking not only just for me, maybe student organizations and kind of that involvement piece, but is often thinking about all these other functional areas that she also oversees, which relates to our department of exhibitions and performances and some of these other areas where we're really thinking about how are we utilizing the system. So with that, our story kind of just starts with COVID a little bit. And I feel like this is kind of a common thing for a number of campuses. COVID-19 hit everybody hard. Is still kind of is something that we're still dealing with. But really in March of 2020, we had to shut down the middle of March, and it was a very quick shutdown. It was sort of the day happened when we shut down, and I was in the office, and then the next day I wasn't. And I think that's probably a very relatable experience to a lot of folks. But for myself and the staff that I work with, a lot of our focus was kind of like, what do we do now? I not only have a staff, a full-time staff of 4 coordinators, but I also have an extended staff of student leaders, which includes probably another 30 or so students who are employed at the campus. And we're trying to figure out, okay, how do we refocus and how do we still work to keep students engaged? Because that was something that was so crucial for us. It was, very quickly, we were trying to figure out how do we continue to engage with students in an online manner. And for a lot of students, I was thinking about them, kind of being shut away in their rooms. Very early on, we were starting to, students were getting that feeling of kind of disconnection, and while also dealing with like really stressful circumstances. I think with the pandemic coming on, that was a really stressful time for folks. So we were also trying to think about community building and, I think just giving people some other outlet to be thinking about. And so, with COVID hitting, we just sort of piecemealed something together. We were very reliant on in-person events, and we were reliant on in-person student organization meetings. And suddenly that got taken away from us. We no longer had that as an option for us. And so we were trying to think, okay, what can we do? We really heavily relied on Instagram and at the time being. Our student athletic group had planned a 5K, an in-person 5K, and I found myself on an Instagram live running in doing a 5K with them, which, you know, I didn't plan for. It was hectic, but that was just one of the things. You know, we were just, what can we do? How do we still make it so that our student groups can succeed, so that our students still feel some sense of connection and community to their fellow students. So we were just kind of doing whatever we could. And, you know, it was at this time also that I was thinking, if we had something in place where we had some sort of virtual engagement system that that would have been in place maybe before COVID, that would have been ideal. But now that we are in this place where we don't have that system, and we're looking to the next year of 2020, 2021, where we were going to still be very much virtual, I was like, we need to get something. We need something in place. And so some of the things, you know, I went to my supervisor, I said, is there something that we can do? Because I think that we need something other than just trying to piecemeal things together between emails and Instagram and those kinds of things. So, and that kind of coincided as well with a need from my supervisor's perspective, who does a lot of work to oversee orientation, to also have this virtual orientation system. So kind of, you know, worlds collide here, where we're kind of needing these things, different aspects of the platform, but we're collectively having this need when it comes to our virtual programming. So other things that we were kind of thinking about needing as well at that time was a replacement to our prior app, which had at the time gotten to be a little bit had been toxic with our student community. So there was times when some of the communication kind of created this pipeline to our dean of students office, and so we were looking for another replacement. Eventually, that wasn't an immediate thing. We knew that we were still with them for a little while, but eventually we were going to make this move. And also, ideally, as we talked about wanting to figure out some sort of virtual engagement platform, we were really thinking about, is there a way for us to cut down the number of systems that we have? Because we have so many. You had to have so many different like passwords and logins to get to each of these different things. If it's for events, you go to this place. If it's for, you know, the forms, you go to this other place. And so these were all things that we were kind of taking in to this kind of next step of, you know, really trying to figure out what are we going to do? What are our next steps? And what options do we have? Kari, do you have any other things that you want to build off of that, or you want me to go to the next slide?
I just want to add and because everything you said is absolutely true in terms of the space that we were in at that time. But there were two things going on parallel as we prepared to secure a new system, to resource and secure a new system. One was that without a tool, we began the process of bringing our entire student affairs unit together to replace our weekly newsletters, our weekly student newsletters, with a daily, which quite frankly about killed everyone. But it was really important to us that we, during this time, the early days of the pandemic, when there was so much uncertainty, the anxieties were so high, and our students felt this incredible, as we did, everything was unpredictable. We did not know what was going to happen next. We wanted to be a rhythm section. We wanted to be a drumbeat, so that the students had something every single day that, whether they read it or not, they knew it was coming. It created some sense of predictability in their lives. and some kind of rhythm. And actually, quite frankly, the work that we did during that time really helped stage us for the launch of the platform. We began to work together in new and different ways, which was really exciting, challenging, but exciting. The other thing was we were in an active process of researching and trying to secure a replacement for the Dean of Students pipeline app. So we were very much in that space during that time. So let's go on. So the big urgency for our adoption and securing of campus groups was definitely orientation. And because we were moving from a fully in-person orientation program, which we've been doing for many years, and quite frankly, we were very fond of our program. It always had high marks from our parents and students. We really liked that program, but replacing it and doing the best that we could was going to be really challenging. So we liked the features that campus groups offered, and we were really excited about using it. The problem was, of course, securing the product, then making it through all of the campus protocols and policies and general counsel and IT and all of those steps. Essentially what happened was we literally launched in a week. We signed our contract 1 week. We announced registration was open the next week, and then we pulled our program. But in our thinking, what was important to us was that we create events and experiences that were as close to what our students and parents and families and guests would receive in an in-person environment. So we used the thinking of if not, then what? Instead of an if-then statement, it was if not in person, then what? If not this activity, then what? And how do we come as close as possible to create an experience where our new students and families and guests feel really connected both to us and to the college itself? So we really focused on how people feel. We really focused on the content and the delivery and appropriate ways to do that per program. We talked and thought a lot about how do you transfer that experience. And then we worked very, very hard to brand and make sure that our orientation onboarding program had a consistent look and feel across all platforms and properties. So I'll give one quick example of the if not, then what. During all of our orientation programs, I know this is standard student affairs fare, but our orientation leaders in on-campus programs wear t-shirts. We all wear t-shirts. Everybody has a t-shirt. That's how we identify who our orientation leaders are. Well, in a virtual environment, the t-shirt is probably like, if I were wearing a t-shirt now, you wouldn't be able to see it. You wouldn't be able to see the logo. So one of the things that we did was hire a student illustrator to create avatars for our orientation leaders. And they used those in the Engage or in the campus groups platform and app so that our incoming students would always know who those orientation leaders were, and they would be confident about going and approaching them. So with that, you know, as I mentioned, we had the finances, working on our API, we had single sign-on, we had to go through general counsel. It was just this crazy time of the orientation deadline when we needed to launch in order to complete our program, and then getting through all of these hoops. It was quite something. And that's frankly why we titled the program The Platform Dive, because it felt very much like we were diving off a very high Olympic size diving board platform. And the one thing I will say, though, is we were confident that there was water in the pool because Campus Groups was a really, really solid partner for us. So on our end, we worked on the content, we worked on the data, we worked on making sure that we had everything ready to go. And then once contracts were signed, everything was set, we just moved everybody in. We migrated as quickly as possible, and it worked out beautifully. One thing I didn't touch on here in the slide that I think is important, we did have, just for those who are doing this work, we did have to manually add our some students and family members, guests, but honestly, it was no big deal. It was so easy to do. So that worked out beautifully. And then, so the other thing I want to mention about orientation as a program for launching, anytime you have an all campus, all college event or activity, that's a prime place to do a launch, because it's built into your DNA. You're automatically pulling and working and partnering with all parts of your campus. And that serves as a training environment too, and a place for people to get excited about the new tools and the new products. So as difficult as it was, I am really, really glad that the timing worked out the way that it did. And we were able to launch with orientation. So it was a memory.
I actually think that's like a really exceptional place to start with this creating buy-in piece. When it comes to creating buy-in, I do think that having this system be a part of your orientation has been really crucial to our success. And honestly, before I was thinking about these slides before, that's not even something that I've bullet pointed here, but thinking about our students. So our new students, they come in, this is the first thing that they're going to be engaging with, besides the college's website and the emails that they're sending out. This platform is what we utilize for orientation. And so, they're coming in as very comfortable users to the system, thanks to that orientation program and process. So another part of that too is with the creating buy-in, our staff and our faculty are also needing to utilize it for orientation. Our first year, we didn't have them really do any work on it because as we said, we had a turnaround in a week. So what we actually asked them initially was, okay, just get us your Zoom links, get us the description, and we're going to put in all the events. First year we did that for them. Second year is really when they started to learn the system, because they were actually being asked, okay, you actually have to put in your orientation sessions. Moving forward, you also have to put in your own events. We're not going to be, hand holding you through the process. We did initially just to, because it was very brand new and they needed our help. But I do think that this piece about orientation being a sort of avenue for creating buy-in is really important, and I think something to consider at other campuses as well, if you're not already utilizing it for orientation. Another piece of this that I want to talk about is kind of this buy-in starting with your team. We have really benefited by having a team of individuals who are sort of looking at the platform from different angles. We have people looking at it from the orientation lens. We have individuals looking at it from student organizations, from events lens. We have people looking at it even from our sort of campus-wide communication, emails, newsletters. So thinking about, as you roll this out to your campus, or if you already have it at your campus, but you're maybe struggling with some buy-in pieces, I think it's really important to think about how are you going to bring some people in and really expand beyond maybe if you're just currently using it for just the student organizations piece. I really think that there's ways to sell this platform to other campus partners. And I guess I want to, really highlight as well. I know that we have a little bit of, or maybe just personally, I have the benefit of having Kari at our campus, where, I have this associate dean who is somebody who's a champion for the platform and goes to other, offices, other departments, the academic departments, and says, hey, this is a great tool for you to be thinking about utilizing. We have our students who are already in this system. We can really sell it from that. Hey, they use it. They're on the app. really selling those pieces, and to be able to have this champion for us to bring it to other places on campus has really helped us to extend the platform's utilization. So I think that's something that's really crucial. And I want to pass it to Kari to talk more about some of these selling pieces, because I really think that you've done such an exceptional job with kind of tying in and bringing other individuals into utilizing the platform.
Thank you, Orterio. There are two ways that this happens, and one is strategic. You target populations or individuals around campus, and then you seek to offer solutions. And then the other thing is very organic, and that happens over time. And I think it's important for us to, as participants in the platform, to constantly have our ears open for need. When we are listening for someone struggling or having need, then we're able to say, oh, I bet we can do that with this. And so you then become, a problem solver. You become someone who is bringing solutions to your campus. And so that's been really awesome. So I'll give two quick examples. One would be one of our goals. This is going to be a little longer term goal. And Bridget, side note, did you hear that? We have a goal. One of our goals is to bring together administrators from our academic departments, our career advisors, and our college advisors. So you have a representative from each of those three areas coming together to work in a team in campus groups. And we also include then associated and affiliated student organizations. So I'll use audio arts and acoustics, which is one of our programs, as an example. We would have a department liaison as an officer. We'll have a career advisor, a college advisor, and then the associated student group. So the Audio Arts and Acoustics Society, believe there's a story group. There are several, and they'll all be working together. What we'll then do is work with these teams to get them to cooperate and drive down email. So now, instead of each of them sending out 1,000 emails to their students, they're aggregating the content and creating a more powerful email and communication. They're also on the backside creating content and use and for our students, so that students then begin to come into the system rather than us sending. Now they're coming into the system to get peer-to-peer interaction, to get guidance, to find out about opportunities. And so it becomes the trough that they can come back to, rather than us constantly pushing and hoping they open their email, which they probably haven't. So that's really, really important. The other thing is then sort of organic opportunities. So anytime we're in spaces where we're meeting with partners outside of student life, student affair, we're listening for, for problems and solutions. One example would be at our recent Columbia weekend, which is our family weekend. The college made a decision early on to keep the event virtual this year. That being said, we know that with local families and with families who really, really wanted to see their student, they would be on campus regardless of that event. They would be wanting to see where their students are taking classes, where they're hanging out, where are they eating. So we needed to come up with some kind of protocol because our campus was pretty tight. And that form, which is now my favorite tool, I was able to really quickly create a guest pass that was approved by our COVID task force. And so we just had an instant guest pass. They could present it on their phone. We had hundreds of parents and students and families immediately adopt it. It was very, very easy. So we created it on a Tuesday and the event was on Friday, and it worked flawlessly. So anytime you can offer a solution, or even better yet, after you get through your initial rollout bumps, when they come to you and any administrator, any campus partner, any colleague and say, oh, can the platform do this? we want our answer to try to be yes. So we're constantly looking at the platform to see what it can do and what it can offer to our entire campus, not just student life, not just student affairs.
Yeah, I think one of the other pieces too that I guess sort of our next step in this creating buy-in piece, training and customer service has been something that's been important for us. I guess I kind of find myself in that role pretty regularly, and I'm happy with that. Honestly, the more people we can get in using it and comfortable, the easier my work is kind of in the future. So as I train more people, those individuals become, resources to the other individuals who are in their departments, or the other people who are, the other students who are in their student group. I think that's things that have really worked for me as far as the training customer service piece is, there are some folks who they just need some additional walkthroughs, maybe more regularly. So I typically do trainings, typically at like the beginning of the semester. And, I've had at least a couple of folks who will reach out to me and they're like trying to put in their events for the whole semester. And, they'll want to connect every semester. And thus far, that's been totally fine. And that's worked out. And I haven't minded that kind of additional walking through. I found that like after this third time, they kind of already knew most of the pieces. They just wanted me to be there to help walk them through that. So I think maybe I just say in the process of this, be patient with people. And another part of this training piece, I always leave this kind of communication to folks. I encourage them to just play around, go like push some buttons, you figure out some things. You're not going to break it. And the more you go in and kind of poke around, get curious about things, the more comfortable you're going to be in the platform. I find that our students, they're off and running. That is something that that curiosity, that trying to figure out how to break it thing, they're completely comfortable with that. It's sometimes our faculty and staff who are still trying to like, okay, I don't want to mess up anything. I'm like, you're not going to mess up anything. Just go test it out. And so that's something I really try to hold as a key component for my trainings, is just go push some buttons. You're not going to break it. You'll be okay. Yeah, go ahead.
And if I could just, I just want to give a little kudos to Orterio. Orterio has been so generous with his time, and he always says yes. And I think that's one of the keys to our rapid deployment, is having that internal customer service mindset. And so I just wanted to say thank you, because you've offered extraordinary internal service, and that's been a massive key to our success. And I also want to just echo that as a older staff member, no, you cannot break it. I have not yet broken it. So
I feel like I've probably come the closest, honestly.
So I'm going to jump on to the aversion to change, because this was really fun. So we're going to fast forward in time a little bit. Orientation happened in the summer. We did our rollout to new students. We started slowly bringing in upperclassmen, but we had a formal rollout prepared that we didn't actually get to launch because we were scooped by our student newspaper. So part of our launch, our formal launch, full of posters and flyers and communications, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. First step in our launch was to speak with our student government and talk to them about moving away from our previous app into this new product, and to get them excited and get them on board. And so we were at a meeting, I spoke to them, and what I didn't realize was that I hadn't yet met the new student reporters for the academic year. And so I didn't know that our student newspaper was there, but they were. And so that night they wrote up a little, an article and posted it, and our students quickly found it. And so I woke up, as many of us did during the pandemic, at, 4 a.m. and went to my email because that's what a lot of us also did. And I was canceled. So, having never been canceled before, I wasn't quite sure what that meant, but I did have two hashtags. I had a hashtag Kari Sommers party is over. So I didn't know I had a party, but that was okay. And then cancel Kari Sommers. So I'd been canceled, and our very creative students made these awesome memes about me. So I have two college-age students. They had to explain to me what imposter was. Perhaps some of you already know. I'm a meteorite going to Earth, which is Michael Jordan crying. I was compared to Trump banning TikTok. It was really awesome. I didn't realize that being canceled was on my personal bucket list until then, but quite frankly, it was pretty hilarious, because even though there was such student outrage and it was very pointedly directed at me, I had every confidence that once they got into the new app, that they were going to love it more. It had better functionality. It had capabilities that they hadn't even thought of. It was a prettier environment. It looked great. It felt great. It was new. You know, students love new toys, especially technology toys. So all I did was, take the previous blurb that we were going to use for our formal rollout, bumped it up and made the rollout on the old app and just left a quick message. Very matter of fact, here's the new tool. We're very excited about it. Hope you like it. And so what happened within the course of a couple of hours was extraordinary. Our students started going to campus groups, playing around for a little bit, and then coming back to the old app and saying, it's pretty awesome over there. You guys should come check it out. So within a very short period of time, we were through the process, and students were happy again, and they migrated over. So we were very lucky about that.
Yeah, and I want to highlight too. I think that something I learned in this process, I learned from Kari in this circumstance. The way that you respond to this change or to the aversion to change is really crucial. If we suddenly responded in a way that, oh no, they're upset, or maybe we should not roll it out and kind of roll back. We would have been in a far worse circumstance. And, because Kari responded sort of so gracefully and, kind of not impacted by any of these silly student memes, she was just able to communicate on the old app and say, hey, go check this out. And it was so funny. I mean, literally I'm watching it kind of on both apps and the students in 2 minutes have completely changed their minds, and they're like, oh no, hey guys, it's really great over there. The other app is really great. This has become so toxic in this space. And, this is really wonderful to be in this new space where there's less of that going on. So, it's really not that bad. And it was just one right after another. Students were there was even some apologizing. Oh, sorry, but this really thing's great. I guess it's sort of stay the course, but also again, kind of trying to not be taking some of those things personal. It's natural for humans to have an aversion to change. I get it. There's times when I have some aversions to change as well. I understand that. But I think just kind of rolling with it and assuring people, it's going to be okay. This is going to be something that really works better for us. And so, oh, what a joy that whole process was. The reason we still have some of these, I think you screenshot it. I screenshotted them because I thought they were so hilarious in the moment too. So, our students, we have a lot of creatives here at Columbia. So, awesome. So I guess, we kind of want to walk you through this sort of thought process for this virtual student center. You know, when we were looking at kind of our choice when we were going to platforms, and we actually spoke with a couple. So we talked to campus labs as well as campus groups. And there were just some things that obviously campus groups was able to do for us that I think we were really interested in over the other platform. But when we were talking about bringing this platform to our campus and kind of how we were selling it, one of the pieces that's so important for me personally is this idea of having all of these different kind of things that we were using before to be able to go and log into just one place is it's exceptional for a lot of reasons, but time savings is one of those things that's really crucial. For me to not have to, go to the app to go check in on what the students are doing, to go to MailChimp that, is looking at some of our email communications and newsletters that we're sending out. Localist was the platform that we were using for events and groups. WordPress for, again, some of those blogs and other student communications content. Woofu we utilized for forms, but we've transferred all of that to campus groups now. SurveyMonkey, iAttend for event attendance, and this Qualtrics for some of our evaluation and that type of stuff. To be able to say, I now have replaced 8, 9 probably logins with one place that I go that has a system that's sort of talking with each other for all of these things. I can look at a student's profile and say, okay, not only do I see where they've been kind of engaging with other students on the feed, but I also see where they're connecting in a student organization, and I can see what events they went to. And I can also look at the email communications that we've sent them. It's amazing. So all of those pieces, I think, it's really been great for us. And I think about my own personal time savings, yes, but I think about other staff members, the staff members that I work with on a regular basis, for them to have that time savings as well, for them to have a system that is sort of talking, with each other for all of these different areas. Again, just so exceptional, and just really appreciate it. Yeah, Kari, go ahead.
As you can clearly tell, Columbia folks have a lot to say, so we're running short on time. So, Orterio, let's kind of tuck through these next couple of slides and get. I want to make sure we have a moment to show everyone what we've done with the homepage, the landing page for the platform. So, one of the things about Columbia that's interesting, as it's starting as a college of oratory and expression for women, the tools change. So you go from the soapbox to the stage, and from the megaphone to the microphone, and now the platform. But it's about communicating. It's always about communicating and about how people feel and about public opinion and community opinion. So as you can see, we've modeled our landing page, and Orterio, if you could just scroll up a tiny bit. We've got all of our content for our newsletters. We keep key messages up. We do a lot of video content. Students really, really like video content, and that's very helpful. So it's everything from instructional videos, how-tos, how to get a job, how to get an internship, et cetera, et cetera. And then also interviews with professionals, peer interviews, artist of the week, student of the week, those kinds of things. And then on the left-hand side, we created custom icons, and we've moved and migrated all of our SSO enabled systems into the campus group left-hand navigation. So even though students still mostly are working on their phones, and we know that they still have to load the apps on for certain systems, at least it's a single doorway with a single key. So as you can see, we, of course, keep our COVID information at the top. We have the feed, the directory, our campus groups, which is all of the campus groups activities, et cetera. And then down below, we have everything, My Columbia, that would be their student email, their portal. the student information system. Under academics, we have our learning management system, Canvas, and then direct quick links to everything from academic advising to the library. Support and service anytime students need. This is top of hand information. So everything from the health center to reserving a space, anything that a student might need. Career, again, focusing on systems. We have all of the career center information, but also their services, Handshake, which is the job search tool and application tool, and Portfolium, our student portfolio service. Communications, all of the many ways that we communicate, and really, really important campus safety and security. So one of our important programs is a secure safe ride. They call it an escort program still. We're hoping they maybe will change it to safe ride. But anyway, so if a student needs a ride from one place to another, that's all in there. So we've done a lot of work in this space, and we thought we'd give just a quick minute to see if anybody has any questions. Bridget, can we open this part up for questions? We're really excited about the navigation.
Yeah, sure. We can have people ask questions in the chat if they have them. And if you want to move through some more of your content, we can always, I can jump in if folks ask any.
Awesome. Thank you. So let's move on and go back to some of the challenges and keys to success. So some of the challenges that we've experienced, as all of us know, is our need to move very quickly, and administrative processes that are not fast. They're slow. Upper class student buy-in, which is always going to be lower. So really, in reality, we understand it's going to be a 4-year migration, but we've had great success with our upperclassmen working primarily through student organizations and through the departments. Buy-in engagement from faculty and staff always will be a challenge, but again, being able to say yes when there's a need, and being able to help somebody use a tool that will help them do their jobs in a more efficient, effective way. And customer service and availability, and that's just Orterio is one person and everyone on our team. So that's always a challenge, is having and making the time. But by making the time, we make everything more efficient and impactful in the long run. So the other pieces are finding ways to bring more people in, creating a team with regular meetings. And that was really important for us, as I talked about earlier, about sort of the drumbeat and the rhythm. We call them micro meetings. They're 20 to 30 minute meetings. But even if you just do, every Thursday at 9:30, we see Bridget. I'm sorry, every 2 weeks now. We've graduated. But so that has been really, really helpful, is to have that rhythm and that steadiness, that we just come together, we bring our things, opportunities, challenges, solutions, and then we go back and continue the work. And it also brings the work and the product to top of mind, so that people have are increasingly invested. The financial support, we call it the begging for money, which we do. The begging for money, which is awesome. I'm getting really good at that. And again, the success and the challenge, customer service and availability.
Yeah, and I was just going to mention too, I think that one of these financial pieces too is talking about cost savings, thanks to limiting or eliminating other platforms. When you're not paying for a subscription for all these 8, 9, 10 whatever other different platforms, and to be able to say it's all in one, talking about it from that kind of cost savings perspective has really been helpful for us as well. So some of our approach and philosophy, seeking to create this virtual student center has been really important. Creating one space for students to access information. Really, I see our platform. We call it the Engage portal at our campus, but the Engage portal is a place where students can gain access to all these different resources that may sometimes be sort of all over the place on our website. It's just because there's always so much information. So even even if we're sort of doubling up on information, so they can go to our website and sure, find it at like colum.edu, they can go to that information, but to be able to also gain access to that information when they're using our platform and just click on a link and it sends them out to that resource to go register for classes or go check in on their financial information, all of that kind of important information is there on the platform. The peer-to-peer engagement has been so that's always at the heart of what we do. We really are a student-focused, student-driven institution. And so we really rely on the students using the platform, the students' involvement with our different student organizations and how they kind of put out events and all those pieces. But also the feed has really turned into like a great resource for students and in turn for us. Myself, other administrators, we're kind of looking at it, making sure nothing gets too out of hand there. But we really appreciate seeing students replying to other students about questions that they have about how to registration, all kinds of like different important things for students. Driving down emails, we already talked about that piece. We really think that's been crucial for us. Meeting students where they are on their phones a lot of times. And so for us to be able to have that app and for them to be engaging using that virtual system, that virtual platform is really crucial. And then this same rule applies. If Kari, you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so one of the things that we've done with most digital systems, and this started actually with Facebook back in the day, there's always an impulse in higher education to create additional policies and or procedures. We used a campaign in the early days of social media, and we continue that campaign and philosophy today, that the same rules apply. I think oftentimes when you roll out something like this, there's an impulse to create more policies when your existing policies are already in place and already apply. So the question we asked ourselves are the actual if-thens. So if I hear this in the elevator, what is the difference of between that and hearing it online? It's the same thing. It's about the content. It's about the behavior. It's not about the vehicle. It's not about the elevator or the platform or the app. That's irrelevant. What matters is the behavior. So we use this language with our students, which seems to resonate with them. It's the same rules apply. And we have certain standards of behavior that we expect from our students and from ourselves. And so we use the same rules. We refer them back to the Student Code of Conduct. We refer them back to the anti-harassment discrimination policy. Anytime a question comes up, boop, post the policy. Fresh reminder, y'all. And so that seems to be working very well for us, and we're happy about that.
Awesome. Well, so this sort of wraps up our presentation. I know that there's some questions here at the end. I did want to real quick highlight some of our team members, and really this is just some, if I'm being honest. I actually consider all users of the platform really kind of part of our team. They're all part of making it successful on our campus. And so, I think this is definitely a group of individuals who are putting in a lot of extra work to make sure on the back end that we're working well. But I also want to highlight Bridget. Bridget has been a really exceptional, just team member for us. I always feel like she's sort of part of the group when we're meeting. She's always coming with a lot of new information and then really assisting us with some of the different back end fixes and giving us some direction for the future as well, which has been wonderful. But I do want to highlight Bridget as she's been invaluable for us. So with that, I do want to pass it maybe to Bridget if you have any questions that you would like us to try to address in our next few minutes.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Orterio. That was very kind. Sure. It looks like Kari has answered a couple questions in the chat already. We were asked about what all is linked in your sidebar. So if that's something you all want to share and you want to just email it to me after, we can include that in our post-webinar email. And then Kari was also answering Laura's question about who all is attending those bi-weekly meetings, which is really kind of who's on the screen here, which is helpful. But I will also allow people to unmute themselves at this point. If anyone wants to ask any other questions, you can post them in the chat, or you can unmute yourself and ask them, and we are happy to answer them. And thank you all for your attendance today.
Yes, thank you. Should I stop sharing my screen? You just want to see faces?
Completely up to you. Sure.
Perhaps we've spoken so much we've worn everyone out. I apologize. Columbia is definitely oratory and expression. We tend to talk a lot, but we hope that this has been helpful. And thank you, Lacey, so much. We've really been grateful for the support and customer service from campus groups, from the product itself, from the responsiveness of thoughts, ideas, and challenges that we're having, that we're trying to work through. The team has been absolutely incredible. So to everyone who's attended today, we thank you for listening to us and for having us. We are so grateful. And to our campus groups team, we are so grateful to finally have a system and a product that really is student facing and understands and meets students where they are, and allows us to adapt and be creative with the product itself. We still have so much to learn, but it's been really wonderful.
And I want to answer this question from Mel here. So it says, hi friends, how did you come up with the categories and organization of your homepage and the left menu? So great question. And I really think that comes back to this, this piece where we focus on this virtual student center. For us, that really being a sort of guiding piece, I think it was with that in mind, we take into consideration also sort of what's on our website and what resources we thought were like the most crucial for our students. So, if we thought, okay, it may be difficult for students to really get to, maybe it's the career services, different links. There's a lot of our links where if you go to the Columbia website, it may take you, 4 or 5 clicks until you get to some of these very important resources. So I do think that one of the benefits of us having a group of individuals who are working together, it also, one person would say, oh yeah, we should have Handshake on there. And then another person would be like, oh, well, we should have Portfolio on there as well, because that's our portfolio. And then another person would say, well, Canvas has to go there. And so I think that was really crucial to have a number of voices. And again, kind of really working from that virtual student center mindset, I think really helped us as well. So yeah, I guess that's kind of the direction that we took when creating that.
And I would thank you, Orterio. You're absolutely right. And I would add that it's a combination of both our observations and inquiry of what students want, and the part that we all often forget about, what we know they need. Sometimes they don't know they need it, but we know they need it. So we try to keep those things front and center. So it's the both and of what they want and what we know they need. And we've worked really hard on that. Each year we take another pass. In fact, this year is going to be a big pass on aligning all of those communication vehicles. So the website, campus groups, and the handbook in particular, as the 3 primary spaces where students go to seek information, and to make sure that there's consistency amongst them.
As another just aside here, I think I want to just extend, if there's other folks who are out there, and maybe it would be helpful to connect with another user for the platform. I just want to extend, and offer to connect virtually in some capacity to talk about the platform. I think from someone who's been on the other end of maybe kind of being new and creating it, or even being at at a place where I'm like, I feel like I'm in a rut and I can't figure out how exactly to get to sort of that next step. I appreciate having connections with other folks. If there's anyone who's looking to connect, you can reach me via my email, which is just ovilla at colum, so colum.edu, and I'd be happy to connect, over Zoom or something to that nature. Awesome. Bridget, any other questions or other things today?
I don't see any. We can wait around for a couple minutes in case anybody adds any more questions, but I did just want to thank you both again for taking the time to put all this together. I think a lack of questions means you answered them all, so I appreciate that. So thank you for taking the time and kind of sharing your story with us all. I'm really nice to hear it. I appreciate the vulnerability and sharing the memes and the challenges along the way.
Thank you for watching this presentation. To see other presentations, workshops, and discussions, feel free to utilize our YouTube channel or official website.